And welcome to Your Retirement with Insurance 365. It's our weekly get-together here on News Talk WJAG. Thanks for joining us here this Saturday morning. And alongside, off to the left, it is the proprietor, Jay Kenobi, and right next to him, Angela Cradaville. Jay runs the place, but Angela knows everything, right, Angela?
Right.
Sometimes that happens.
Okay, since last we talked, Jay brought a term and he laid it in front of me here before we even got started that I had never heard of. It's called guaranteed issue. I wouldn't even know what it is, but the more and more you explained it to me, I thought I had no idea anything like this existed.
Well, we're talking specifically about life insurance.
Okay.
And so when you think about life insurance, a lot of times the hesitancy is, do I need a physical? Do I need a paramed? Are they going to do an EKG? How much is this going to affect my time and my schedule? And so the companies have realized that there's hesitancy on the consumers to buy the product because of the process to get it. They want the product, but they're just...
Is it they're afraid of what they're going to find, that they're not going to pass the physical, or they just don't want to jump through all the hoops?
It's a lot of reasons. I mean, over the years, we've seen a lot of reasons. It's all those. So this is called a guaranteed issue life insurance, which, just like it sounds, like we are going to do the paperwork, we're going to fill it out, and it's going to be sent in, and you're going to get a policy for that amount.
Okay. What's the typical application here for this?
You have to be at least 40 years old to 80, so we can issue up to 80 years old.
Okay. What would compel someone to come to Angela and say, hey, I need something guaranteed?
Sure. Well, if you need life insurance, so say you had cancer or do have cancer currently, I mean, we can get a policy in your hands with a death benefit up to $40,000. So you can be sick, you could have had pre-existing conditions. None of that is taken in consideration.
Height and weight, psychological conditions, motor vehicle reports, obviously terminal illnesses. You know, Jeffrey, when you think about it, there's a lot of things there. You know, and some people have multiple things, and if you went up and down the street and asked, do you think you could get life insurance? There'd be about 2 out of 10 people would say, no. I'm addicted to this. I'm addicted to that.
All right.
I'm overweight. I've had 3 heart attacks. I've had some TIAs. I have cancer 3 years ago. There's a lot of reasons that people don't get life insurance, and that's why if you go through a fully underwritten process, most times people will say, well, that's not expensive, and they're right. Life insurance is pretty cheap if you want to go through all of the requirements of the company. But if you already know and you're like, hey, I have high blood pressure, I've had a history of cancer, I've got 2 DUIs, I've got other things, and I know my family would like this. I know my funeral should be paid for by a life insurance policy that I bought, but I just don't ever think I could get one. You'd be surprised how often you hear this.
Wow, that is pretty amazing. But 40, I suppose this is actuarial science kicking in, Angela. But why 40 to 80? Actuarial science.
Yeah,
that's where we need it mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that always kind of blows my mind. So, guaranteed issue, and like you say, it could apply to anything, Jay.
Yeah, it's the application process is about 2 pages, and a third of the second one is what's your bank account, because it's an EFT.
Okay.
You know, so the person will pay maybe $100 a month to have $30,000 of life insurance, and it's guaranteed issue, and here's another guarantee: the premium can't change. So you are, say you're 50 years old and you buy this, the premiums are locked in. So we're not saying, oh, this is going to be good for 12 months or 24 months. You have a need for life insurance, can't buy it, and the company is saying, we'll charge you this premium, and there's no underwriting. We'll charge this premium, and this is a whole life policy. So it's going to stay.
Okay.
It's going to stay with you until you die.
Yeah, and build a little cash value.
Yeah, not much so.
Yeah.
Not even worth discussing even on the sounds of the station, honestly.
Right.
It just
Are most people as surprised as I am to find out about this option?
They
Angie?
are, yes. We have a lot of people that will come in and say, well, I can't get life insurance. I've already applied. I've been declined. I can't get it. Well, that's false, because even if they have been declined, this product will still take them on as a client.
When you get declined for insurance, is there, it'll come back to you. I guess I've never had this in front of me here, but if it comes back to me, you were declined because of...
Yeah, you can get a reasoning as to why they declined you.
Yeah, but then can I go, if it's something that's fixable, like my high blood pressure, could I, work out, lose 20 or 30 pounds, come back around later and say, let's try again?
You can. It's just that decline is on there so that the next company will have to reevaluate your whole situation.
Right. At Insurance 365, though, you guys also have the option of shopping around a lot of different places, too. So guaranteed issue insurance what's the history behind this? How long has this been around?
It's been about 10 to 12 years. And what we have found when you talk about the history, Jeffrey, I'll throw out here early on in this conversation, the negative. Okay, this could happen. So what's the worst thing that can happen with a guaranteed issue? There's a 2-year window when you apply to upon when you can die. So at the end of 2 years, you get the full face amount, whatever you applied for.
All right.
If you die in the application
within that 2-year window,
you get your premiums back plus 10% on your premiums. So that's the biggest negative of this. So think about that.
That's still no lose.
You still can't lose. Exactly. I mean, when people say I didn't have a funeral, paid for, because why? I don't understand. There's you can go in at 75 years old, and you can have bad knees, a bad heart, bad this, bad that,
right?
And you still can buy a $5,000 or $10,000 policy,
and it's going to help.
And it's going to help. And if you pass away, you're at least getting your premiums plus 10%. If you make it 2 years in 1 day, you get the face amount.
Wow!
And it's up to $40,000. So, it in the world today, it's hard for me to understand. It's hard for Angela to understand when people say I can't do this or I can't do that. You just have to have a lot of carriers. There's about 3 carriers do this, Jeffrey. Okay.
All right.
There's about 3 companies out there that this is their product.
Okay. So if I am in my 40s right now, if what I'm hearing is, what do I have to lose? Why wouldn't I, even in my 50s, why wouldn't I go grab one of these policies?
Well, yeah, if you're uninsurable, absolutely.
Okay. Do I have to be uninsurable elsewhere to get this policy? Or can anybody come in and say, hey, I want this?
Anybody can get it, but we would recommend if you can get it by traditional methods, underwritten, and get a cheaper price, then you should do that method. I have a guy right now that isn't 40, and he's applied. I can't get him this product yet because he's still under 40, but he's uninsurable due to heart conditions.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
So, the most common thing we see is somebody 60, 65, 70 and just saying, 10 years ago I applied and, with this guy and I got a decline, so I've just never tried again. So I guess my family's just going to have to deal with it. And that's not really the right answer.
Yeah. Okay. There's always answers. There's always ways. And these experts can help you out with this if you're just joining us. This is Your Retirement with Insurance 365. We do this on the 3rd Saturday of every month here on News Talk WJAG at 7:30 in the morning. If you want to get a hold of these folks, they're at Insurance 365 on South 13th Street. I shouldn't even have to tell them what the actual address is of the building, because all you got to do is look for the building that's got the giant 365 on it.
And three cars that say 365 on it. So we try to really make it very accessible.
If you see one of those cars, just follow them and they'll end up there. You can also find them online at Insurance Agency 365. All right, so we've come up against the break. We'll take our break here, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about maybe some of the things that have come in front of these guys here lately that we can talk about, including orphan policies. It's your retirement with Insurance 365 on News Talk WJAG. And welcome back. It is Your Retirement with Insurance 365 on News Talk WJG. My name is Jeffrey Steffen, and on my right is Angela Cradaville, and on my left, as you look at your radio, he's the one over on the left. That is Jay Kenobi. And we talked, just in case folks are just tuning in and they missed the first segment of the show here, Jay, I just want to really quick go back to bring this up because I think this is really cool. We learned about guaranteed issue policies. So give me the Cliff Notes version real quick.
Age 40 to 80, up to $40,000 of life insurance, guaranteed issue. No physical, no exam, no questions.
Wow. All right. So if you fall into that category, I can't get life insurance, I'm between the ages of 40 and 80, give them a call. It's no lose for you because you have to make it 2 years and 1 day, and then you're fully insured. But if before that you pass away, that's where you get your money back plus 10%?
10%. Yep.
10%. All right, that's cool. Find out more about that. Maybe you know somebody in that. Maybe it's not you. Maybe you know somebody who's in that boat. Why don't you give them a call? You can also contact them at Insurance Agency 365. All right, Angela's going to go first. Angela, we always like to talk about real life stories because, there's going to be people listening going, oh, that's me, or I know somebody like that. And I think we're all in this category of we all have insurance policies that we have long forgotten about. And sometimes we're still paying on them, and maybe we shouldn't be. So let's take it away, Angela. What do you have?
Right. We had a lady this week come in with her daughter. The lady she was in her 80s, almost close to 90. She was 88. Mm-hmm. So she wanted us to review her policy. Her agent has been MIA for a while. She bought the policy back in 1991.
Sure.
So we could do an agent a record change. That way we could fully see all her information, how much she was paying, how much cash buildup was in the policy, how much her cash value was. So we learned when we were going through the policy of who, your beneficiaries, do we have them correct? It was her husband who passed away in 1994 was the beneficiary.
Pretty tough to transfer money that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we helped her out with that, changing her deceased husband to her children. Got that updated.
Bet their children really appreciated that too.
Yes.
What would happen? What would happen if somebody would pass under those circumstances? Where does that money go? I almost hate to ask because I bet I know.
It's a lengthy process. It's a lengthy process. You want to have your beneficiaries in line.
You don't want to have to go through that lengthy process. No. Yeah. Okay.
And it was a sizable amount.
I bet it was
$100,000.
We're talking what?
$100,000 tax free, and we had a beneficiary as a husband from that passed in '94.
Oh, that's almost 30 years ago. Think about that. Yeah.
Right. So then also, this $100,000 policy, she was paying $180 a month still. And she had $42,000 of cash value built up. She wasn't educated, or she had no idea that she could take that cash value and start paying her premiums
with it, yeah.
And stop the $180 a month deduction out of her checking account.
Can that happen automatically?
No.
With policies, or you have to do that?
You have to understand your policy. And what we do is we call the company and get the illustration, so it's straight from the company, the actuarial data, and say, okay, this policy will run to age 107, 110. Mm-hmm. And then they usually laugh and say, well, I'm not going to make it that far. So you might, because what people get confused at is they think the $42,000 of cash value is theirs. No, the company's going to write you a check for $100,000. They're going to keep the 42. So take the 42, and that's where you have to work with professionals like Angela and I. We do all this for you. We contact the company. We get the signatures needed. We get the paperwork ordered to do what do we call premium offset.
Yeah.
And in a case like this, it just saved her $180. An 80-some-year-old lady, $180. She doesn't have to pay. And now we have the beneficiaries right. That was just an orphan policy since 1991. Think about that.
Wow. And again, this underscores the importance of working with agents working with agents who will follow up with you and make you aware of these things. Ultimately, though, it's on me. I have to know this, but, maybe call these two, take a full inventory of what you have, just do a little search and see what you have. And boy, $180 a month. Take that times 12, and you're over $2,000 a year that's just going out that doesn't need to. Could stay right in your pocket because you've already built up enough cash value for that to take place. So, all right. How about Jay's turn?
Well,
these are really interesting. These are really compelling stories. I feel bad for these people, but man, oh man, is it a wake-up call for you.
So this guy had a $6,000 a year premium that he was just sending in.
Jeez, okay.
In his 70s. Okay.
All right.
He has cancer. So, that's a factor. Mm-hmm. Sending in $6,000 a year, and came to my office and said, let's look this over. $500,000 death benefit. $500,000. Called the company. Talked to them like you need to talk to them. There's a art to this.
Okay.
There's some knowledge behind this. And found out he had put in over the years about $140,000. But he can be paid up. He had no idea. He has cancer.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want the policy to lapse.
Right.
But instead of spending $6,000 more, look at the leverage he did there. He spent a little bit of money, and his family's getting $500,000 tax-free, and he doesn't need to pay anymore. It's good for 17 more years. So
based on the 140 that's already there.
That's there. Yeah. And he was just going to keep paying the $6,000, and he could never get, he was calling into the company, and he was one of these guys who listens to your show.
Yeah.
And he says, I finally came in because every time I call, I didn't know what to ask. I didn't know what to say.
Okay.
I didn't know the lingo, the language.
Right.
So he came in, and we talked about it. We called the carrier and ran the illustrations, and he's happy to know. For one, he was always worried his premium was going to go up. He's going,
sure.
I have, and I said, they don't know that you have this illness.
Right.
And so that's good.
That's natural, though. The older you get, though, you start thinking, okay, I don't want to call these guys or I'm going to tip them off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we found out that, so we fixed it and save him $6,000 a year. And you have to know how these policies work. Are they universal lives? Are they whole lives? Are they variable lives? Are they term? Are they annual term? Are they term to a certain age and then they go into a different phase?
Right.
You have to work with, and let's be honest, the reason it happens, people buy life insurance and they never really want to talk about it again. The agent probably doesn't call you back. Mm-hmm. So I call these orphans. So we had 4 orphans this week.
Wow, that's
just
awesome.
in a week.
But it goes back to the philosophy of the business. The change that you went through when you guys became Insurance 365. You really are making it your mission to find cases like this and educate people on what this can really do for you, not to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Had another case this week where a wife had 3 children with the first husband, mm-hmm. and she had 2 children with a second husband.
Okay.
And we looked at her policies and had no idea what they were. They said, I don't know. And we found out it was term policy to age 85. So now we know it's a term contract to 85, but she was in her 60s.
Okay.
And called on the beneficiaries, and it just said, all children divided equally. And her husband looks at her and he says, who's all children? Do you mean the 2 you have with me? Or do you mean the 5 you had all together?
Is there any fine print on that?
Because we did the funding already for the 2, but I thought this was going to your original 3, and she said, well, I kind of thought this would go to my 5. And so we had this uncertainty because no one had serviced that contract and asked the tough question. When you say children of which marriage? You need to designate names and percentages. So it needs to say Jeffrey Steffen, 22%.
Wow. So being married to the same woman for 30 years makes it really a lot simpler, doesn't it?
in a few ways.
I know. That's an idealistic look, and I know everybody's situation is different. But wow, there you go. When it comes down to, I don't even know what questions to ask, let alone the answer. How can I get the answer when I don't even know what to ask?
It's amazing to me how many people, Jeffrey, are paying on their life insurance and don't need to. That's really the thing I see the most often.
That's everybody's homework assignment for this next month here. Really? check all your policies. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Check all your policies, dig them all out, and find out if you need to be paying premiums on these policies, especially if it's a policy you've had a long, long time. Ask that question. Do I need to be paying this anymore, or do I have enough cash value to take this over? Chances are, if the thing is at least 15, 20 years old and it's got cash value, you shouldn't be paying premiums on it anymore.
And you just have to bring it in. We look it over. We call the company with you. We put you on a speakerphone, and we ask the tough questions.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's you were paying $100 a month. We can back it off to $50.
Yeah.
Well, and it'll fund it until age 95 or 98.
Okay.
Most people are.
Save yourself $700 a year. You know. Why not? Okay, absolutely. All right. Well, that's what makes this show so much fun to do, is to teach people about all of this. Angela, do you have any more in your guns you want to share? Huh?
What's coming up in Angela's world is
Annual election period is coming back up. The drug checks.
You know what? I was going to mention this too. This is the show's 1-year anniversary. We started this show, Your Retirement Insurance 365, in August of 2020. So you could say this is our anniversary 1-year show right here.
we made it a year.
We made it a year. And just imagine the number of people that we have helped. But you're right. We're going into the fall season. And when are those deadlines? Let's talk about that real quick.
It's October 15th is the start date to December 7th.
All right, so that's the window you have to hit. Everybody's aware of it. What are some common questions here? The one that keeps coming back to me is the Part D. There's always a lot of questions about Part D.
Right, yeah, and everything's starting to come out. I mean, plans change, meaning you need to make sure if your plan is any different, or if your medications change. And even if your medications don't change, you always should look into it, because the way the companies pay for your medications do change.
Yeah.
So always smart to look at it.
And shop it around.
Yes.
This is another area that we've learned, I've learned at least from listening to you guys, is that you can change these policies inside these windows. And
Yep, just
people,
that window.
you come across people all the time who say, I don't want to change anything because
Yes.
my premium might go up again.
Right. And I know it works. Well, it worked that year, but we always want to double check to make sure it's going to work the same the following.
And maybe it can work better
Right.
because you can shop this around.
Correct.
It's a government program, so everything's the same, but there are different providers that you can find, and maybe you can trim a few bucks here and there.
Right.
Jay?
And I was just going to say, in terms of these shows we do, if you ever don't catch the whole show or want to hear it again, go to our website, and it's right there. Jeffrey sends it to us every month. We post it on our website, so we have the last 12 episodes, and it's all helpful information for the consumers. So if you missed it, or something happened and you missed part of it, or just want to hear the old episodes, they're all there on our website at insuranceagency365.com.
I try to get them to Angela as quickly as I can after they air, but sometimes she has to crack the whip, including last month. I know. I apologize. I don't think I got that to her right away, but I'll be better. I promise I'll be better. So once again, if you want to contact these folks, Angela, what's the best way to get a hold of Angela Cradaville at Insurance 365?
Yep, it's 402-371-3136.
Okay, and Jay, same number?
Same number, and just keep in mind, we go to a lot of houses. We meet people at restaurants. You don't have to. We like an appointment, definitely. It's best to have an appointment, because we do have a lot of appointments. But we will meet you at your house. I mean, that's not a problem. We will meet you at a restaurant. That's okay. Angela and I travel, and so just keep that in mind. Some people think we have to go to this stuffy office. No, actually, Angela and I don't mind getting out once in a while. So.
Yeah, there you go. All right, and find them online, too, at Insurance Agency 365. That is Your Retirement for this month here on News Talk WJG. Jay, thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Angela, thank you. And we will talk to you again in September on News Talk WJAG.